Hey there, Derek Rydall here, founder of the Law of Emergence and author of the best-selling books Emergence and the Abundance Project. And I want you to stay tuned. Coming on March 30th, I'm going to be releasing something really, really powerful that's going to speak directly to the challenges we're going through right now and help you become truly a master of the energy of abundance and inspiration and a channel of whatever you truly deeply need, no matter what conditions you're facing. It's one of the most powerful trainings that I've ever done, and it's coming on March 30th, so pay attention, keep your eyes and ears open. And today I want to talk about how to almost magically create whatever you need, how to almost magically manifest whatever you need. And hold on one second here. And basically, there's a potential within all of us to create our needs no matter what conditions we face. And the biggest thing we have to first understand, what I call the great reversal, is that life doesn't happen to you, it happens through you. It comes from you. And so whatever's missing in our life predominantly is what we're not generating. Now, during this time of crisis and during any time of crisis, that is not meant to say it's your fault if something's not there, or that if things are happening in your world that you're to blame for it. I'm not in any way diminishing the challenges you're going through or that we're going through right now. I'm simply here to speak about the principles that can ultimately empower you. And the ultimate truth is that life comes through you. Life comes from you. It is emergent, okay? And right now we're in a time where the message is very, very strong that there's a shortage, there's a lack, there's negative forces and powers that can attack us in our body, in our bank account, that there's all of this energy and all of these memes and all of these really thought viruses that are telling us that we don't have enough and we're not going to have enough. And always during times of great challenge, great downturns, great depressions, recessions, etc., there are people that rise up. There are people that get stronger and healthier and wealthier and more successful as a result. And one of the biggest reasons is because they understand this principle, whether innately or because they've learned it. They understand that they and they alone are the source of their creation, that they and they alone are their own salvation. And so I really want to talk about that principle a little bit more today. And again, I'm not diminishing the challenges we're in. I'm not diminishing certain people that may seriously be struggling physically or emotionally or financially right now. But I'm speaking principle. And if you are willing to understand the principles and begin to apply them, no matter what conditions you face, you can begin to resurrect and renew and regenerate and manifest whatever you need according to your perfect pattern and your ultimate purpose. There's a seed of potential planted in your soul, in the soil of your soul, and all of life is here for one reason: to nourish that, to nurture that, to cultivate the right inner conditions for that to emerge as new insights, new ideas, inspiration, clarity, guidance, compelling right action, new opportunity. And you have the power and the capacity to generate that in full bloom no matter what conditions you're facing. This is the great news. This is the good news. This is the gospel. This is the God spell. We've all been hypnotized by a different kind of spell, which says that external sources and forces and power and principalities and princes and kings and authorities and germs and materiality, all of these are powers over us, and we've lived most of our lives trying to cope and protect and defend against them. And then when really big things occur, we hunker down, we shrink down, we shrink and shrivel and contract our capacities. And on the other side of that downturn, we are smaller. But the individuals that understand what I'm about to talk about, they become a bigger channel during that time. They increase their capacity. They turn on their inner divine power plant, and they begin generating the inner energy and the inner ideas and the divine qualities, and they begin circulating that. They put up the production of their inner potential to full capacity. And on the other side, their channels are bigger, their soul stamina is stronger, their resilience is stronger, and their ability and their clarity and their wisdom and their capacity to lead and to innovate and to create is at a whole new level. And they are the individuals that end up leading the evolutions and the progress. And they are the individuals that don't just survive, but thrive. And you can be one of those individuals. I'm telling you what I know for sure. Now, the first thing you have to understand is that wealth is not dollar bills or euro or yen or whatever currency you may be using. It's not even crypto, okay? Wealth or dollar bills are symbols of wealth. They are a medium of exchange, okay? They are a form, they are not even the currency. They are a form that floats on the current, the real wealth, okay? Salary is a word that comes from Rome, ancient Rome, when the Romans were paid in salt. The salt was the dollar bills of the time. There was a time when chickens and furs were the wealth, or that were considered the wealth. But obviously that wasn't the real wealth. That was the symbol of wealth. The fruit on a tree is not the wealth of the tree. That's why when all the fruit is gone, the farmer doesn't go, well, I guess all these trees are broke. Let's cut them down or burn them down and go start a whole new field, right? No, the farmer knows the wealth is invisible. The wealth is based on the roots that are deeply dug beneath the surface. And when those continue to dig deeply and draw the rich nutrients beneath the visible, then the tree remains healthy and wealthy, and in due season produces harvest after harvest. You are designed the same way. When your roots are healthy and they are dug deeply in the soil of your soul, and you are drawing up the rich nutrients of your being, the real substance of wealth, the real substance of all of creation is not material. Materiality is the symbolic expression of substance. The Big Bang happened, and all of what we know as material creation was born, including laws of physics, including time and space. But what was there before? Something, right? You cannot get anything out of an absolute nothing. There was an infinite, invisible something that arose, that emerged, that exploded into expression, an infinite, perfect pattern, a divine idea, a platonic idea that emerged, a grand seed pattern. And it emerged and it spread an infinite variety of seed patterns throughout the universe, all of which are aspects of one grand pattern, and it began to unfold in the medium called time and space. And it created time and space. It created the time, the space, the matter, the elements, the principles, the laws. It created everything it needed to manifest life's idea of itself. And all of evolution is this life force creating the next right condition for the next iteration of life to emerge. This perfect idea, the platonic forms. And there is a perfect idea within you. You are a perfect idea of life. Like every other thing in nature and in creation emerged from a seed pattern, a perfect seed pattern is emerging as you. And it does not matter what outer conditions are. Whereas Mother Nature is indigenous, so the seeds in Mother Nature require certain outer conditions to thrive. You are endogenous, meaning you create your own conditions. You bring your conditions with you. You're like a walking greenhouse. You are self-effulgent, which means that you get to turn on the light of your being even when there's no sunlight outside. Whereas nature itself needs external light. This is what it means biblically to say you're made in the image and likeness of God. It simply means you have the same creative capacity of life itself. You have metacognition, which means you can think about what you're thinking about, and then you can choose what to think about. You can notice where your attention is, and then you can choose where to put your attention. And where attention goes, energy flows. What you think about is what comes about. All right? It is done unto you as you believe. This is a principle that Jesus spoke about, Shakespeare spoke about, Abraham Lincoln spoke about, the great poets and prophets of ancient times spoke about. And I don't mean thinking about things to attract them. No, that's a misunderstanding of the law. But focusing your attention to have a perception that is healthy and abundant and ultimately congruent with your pattern of infinite potential. In other words, the more you see life as hopeful and abundant and you see possibility, you will feel possibility. The neurobiological response will bring possibility into your body. Your mind will become an avenue, like a net cast over the boat to catch certain ideas that are aligned with that possibility. And then that will show up as conversation that is rooted in possibility. And then energetically, you will be a match for the people, places, and conditions that are congruent with that possibility. And you will even become a channel to manifest those possibilities. All of this is an inside job. So right now, the most important thing for you to do, beyond just being a good steward, wash your hands, social distancing, and by the way, whenever you're listening to this, there's always going to be a need to be a good steward of conditions. You don't put your head in the sand, you don't put your head in the clouds, you don't get airy-fairy or do a spiritual bypass, you don't have a wishbone, you have a backbone, but you only use conditions for the purpose of seeing where do you need to grow in your perception. So if you're seeing lack and it's generating fear, it's telling you you're believing a lie or a limited concept. And now you have to become interested in what's the greater truth that you need to apprentice under. If you're feeling anger, it's telling you you're being stepped on or you're stepping over yourself. And you need to now listen and ask, where do I need to open up and take another step? What is the need I'm not meeting? What is the thing I'm not saying? What is the truth I'm not hearing or telling? So yes, use your conditions to get information. But ultimately, what you want to begin to focus on during this, what appears to be a downtime, what appears to be winter time, is how can you dig your roots mentally, emotionally, spiritually, energetically, more deeply into the truth of your being, more deeply into ideas and qualities that are life-affirming, life-giving, life-enhancing, inspiring, expanding. And you can do this. You can do this regardless of conditions. You know how I know? If I was to call you up right now and say, you just won the lottery, you won $10 million, would you have to go out and inspect it and do all these things and have the money in your hand? No, you would suddenly be excited, inspired. You would, if you were sick, you might suddenly feel well. You would suddenly have ideas and possibilities. You'd have energy circulating in your body. Your whole being would change. You would be on fire with possibilities. And then if I called you back a few minutes later and said, oops, sorry, wrong number, all of that would go away and probably be worse. But the condition actually never changed. What changed was your perception. What changed was the meaning you were giving to conditions. What changed was the story you were telling yourself. But the actual conditions did not change. During the greatest downturns of economies and health and different things, the people that use that time to begin to look for the good, the opportunity, they use what appears to be the valley to build their mountaintop mindset. Those are the people that get stronger, healthier, wealthier, more successful on the other side. You do not want to adapt to conditions. You want to expand in the face of contraction. And by the way, I just wrote an article. You can read it. about what is it called? A breath of fresh air. Is the pandemic a miracle? And basically, and the link is here, but basically the idea is that right now there's always a lot of death and destruction and bad things going on the planet. Always. As bad as ever, it's kind of always going on somewhere for someone. It may be going on more increasingly right now, but there's also always a lot of good going on. The universe is always balancing itself, just like in your body. Your body always is seeking to maintain homeostasis, right? Even when there's tremendous acidic stuff you're putting into your body, your actual blood does not get acidic. It still is always doing different things to balance itself out. That's always going on in the world too, but we often don't see it. In the old days, we didn't see it because we didn't have media. We didn't know what was going on in the world. But in today's life, we don't see it because the media and government only shares with us mostly the bad news. And yes, there's bad things going on right now. A global pandemic, economic crises, and it's going to get worse in some of those ways. I'm not denying that. But there's a lot of things that are going to get better, and a lot of things that may get really, really good. And I talk a lot about it in this article, but I'll share a few things here. That for one thing, hundreds of millions or even billions of tons of metric tons of CO2 and other pollutants are not getting poured into the atmosphere, lakes, streams, and other natural habitats. And the result is lakes and streams are cleaning up. They're healing themselves. In fact, I'm getting chills right now. There are dolphins in the canals in Italy. Dolphins. In China, they've had some of the clearest days in modern history. From space now, satellites are able to see things they have not seen in modern history. The atmosphere is clearing up. The skies are clearing up. Earth is getting a breath. Earth is already starting to heal herself. You know that there is something like 1 million seabirds that die every year from pollution, and I think 100,000 other sea mammals. How many of those will now live? Do you know that pollution kills something like 3 million children a year and makes sick and kills millions of other people? How many of those people won't die now as planes aren't flying and cars aren't driving and factories aren't pumping out as much pollution? Millions of animals, potentially millions of lives will be spared. Do you know that there's over 1 million people killed in traffic accidents every year? How many of those lives now will be spared because there won't be that much driving going on, let alone all of the less fatal accidents that still maim and cause tremendous pain and suffering and tremendous economic cost? How much will be saved there? How many more lives will be spared there? How much less pain and suffering there? I know there's terrible things going on. People's lives are being lost and will be lost during the pandemic. But by comparison, how many millions of lives could be saved? How many millions of animals? How much millions of square miles of the planet might be restored? Lakes, streams, skies. This is a new perspective. You know that there are somewhere between 200 to 400,000 people that die from medical error every year. Every year. That's more than all the wars we've ever fought. And so what about, or more than like Vietnam and Korea and something like that. So yes, some people are still dying in hospitals, and yet a lot of operations and procedures that would normally go on are being postponed now. So a lot of the people that would have gone in and become infected by staph infection or died from other errors, they're not going to die now. You see, we don't hear about that news. And if we're going to look at the world and we're going to watch the news and we're going to listen to numbers, we need to look at the whole balance sheet. We need to be prophets for real profit. We need to understand that there is a lot more good going on than bad all the time. And when that becomes our perception, and again, read the article for the depth of what I'm talking about, because there's all kinds of economic benefits that will come. Innovations, new jobs, new models, new systems, new evolution, new progress. Earth is taking a breath. Mother Earth has sent us to our room to think about our behavior and decide what we're going to do now moving forward. And as a result, we're going to have some deep reflections. We're going to have some great insights and innovations. We're going to have amazing breakthroughs that could save millions or billions of lives in the future, lift more people out of poverty, change systemic problems in government and in social and financial injustices. It's going to be hard for a time, and in certain sectors a lot harder. But there's a lot of gifts and miracles going on right now. I mean, major ones. I mean, earth-changing, earth-saving, life-saving ones. Millions of lives will be saved because of this virus. How many more violent crimes, rapes, murders, because bars and schools and colleges and streets are shut down, those won't happen. How many lives will be saved? How much suffering will be spared? Now, again, I'm not diminishing the tragedy that's going on, but I'm speaking to you, the truth student, truth teacher, truth seeker, you, the individual that wants to take the most advantage of this time to grow and heal and become your best self and make a bigger difference in your family and the world. I'm speaking to you. Your perception is what determines your experience. You don't experience life as it is. You experience life as you are through the filters of your perception. And if you see life and all the glorious things going on, and you see all the possibility, and you feel filled with hope and passion and power and expandedness, you're going to be the one that catches the inspired idea. You're going to be the one that is an instrument of more love and more light in the world, because your frequency is now tuned into K-R-I-C-H, K-Rich, instead of K-L-A-C-K, K-Lack. Your frequency is tuned into K-Joy instead of Killjoy, K-G-O-D. It's turned into a broadcast of possibility. And whatever station you're tuned into determines the music you get and the song you're moving to. Is it the beat of abundance or the blues? It's up to you. And it's not semantics. It's not airy-fairy. What you're tuned into is what you will receive. What you see is what you will get. As thou seest, so thou beest. It is done unto you as you believe. You and you alone hold the power of your perception. And the power of your perception alone determines your outcome. It is not conditions that determine destiny. It is your character. And your character is made up of your beliefs, and your beliefs become habits, mental habits, emotional habits, habits of speech, habits of action. And all of that builds a character, builds a new program, and it puts your healing, your growth, your success on autopilot. And you will be the ones that rise from the ashes, or maybe never even have to deal with the ashes. You will be the ones that lead in the new world order, in what's emerging next. You will rise out of this bigger, better, more abundant, stronger, and more capable of loving and serving. I'm telling you what I know. And so I just really want to implore you to take this time to be still, to self-reflect, to love yourself and each other. As I said in the article, even though we have to close the doors of our houses and our businesses, we want to always keep open the doors of our heart. Do the work. Now is the time we've been waiting for. And pretty soon, a lot of the world will be waiting for us. I hope this helps. Read the article, share this with a loved one, comment below on how you're going to take a stand, the work that you're committed to doing, the qualities that you're committed to circulating in the world. Take fear out of circulation and begin to circulate a life-affirming quality. I love and appreciate you. And until next time, remember to live authentically, love unconditionally, and follow your destiny.